Hey guys, V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is my co-pilot in crime, Frank. How are we doing today, man?
Trying to figure out why I have a Filk ferret with my double guitars as an icon when I thought I had changed that. However, I am doing fantastic. I just woke up from a nap, as you well know, because you said, I'm leaving you 5 minutes to get on the computer, Frank. And I said, oh, okay. After a wonderful day and morning of having my old production team and friends, Gary, Tracy and David Wren, yeah, Gary Davis and Tracy Davis and David Wren, or actually Randy Wren, come and visit the USS Harrison from the USS Dominion. We just kind of threw a line between both ships and just towed them over. They were a little cold when they got through the airlock door, but, that's the way life goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine that it's like a real Mission Impossible type vibe that they're pulling a Tom Cruise and just swinging on over, Lifeline, and that I think we need to see that fan film. I think that's what the fan film community have been clamoring about.
That's right.
Like
It's called Popsicles in Space.
But if you pop on over to our OnlyFans, we have another film that's called Popsicles in Space. It's a much, much different film that Frank's a part of.
Yeah, that's right. I'm dressed as a unicorn on the pole.
And for $1.99 a month, you can get your fan film fix and all your fixins, there you go. So good deal. So Frank, on this wonderful day that we've picked to do this review, we're going to review the reviewers. And what better reviewer to review than our good old friends at Nerdtube? Now, this review is what started the launch. Going down a little bit of memory lane for those that don't know, Nerdtube and I started off on not quite the friendliest of foot, but it was appropriate to review this one first because they've reviewed probably about maybe 10 of my films, I think. But this one, they were a little harsher than normal. But this is what opened the door for us to begin communicating and talk. So I was like, fuck it, let's just do them all in order. And, for good or, for better, for worse, like a marriage, the No Budget Production and Marriage to Nerdtube. Let's get through this together. So what do you think, Frank?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You said that at the very beginning with Nerdtube, it was Rocky and everything else. And at the very beginning of our relationship, because of the past history with Dreadnought, it was Rocky. Do you ever start normal relationships?
I had a puppy one time that
oh God, no, I don't even want to think about it. Was some mullet involved in this?
Well, again, on my OnlyFans, if you watch the $1.99 a month, you can see how that relationship bloomed. I'm no longer on OnlyFans. I've now been blocked, but you can still see that. It was at one time a normal relationship. No,
but Frank and his Speedo is.
We're not well liked around the internet. No, it is funny that the. Hey Royce, can you let Rufus out, buddy? It is funny how the most how a lot of relationships start off as harsh or what some would consider toxic or whatnot, end up growing into being the best relationships. Because I have had a lot of times where you and I have talked at like you've said, 3 a.m, I'll call you, or you'll see a text message and you'll call me, message me right back. Be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, yeah. Like, I just want to see if you're up. What's going on, man? No, I was sleeping, you jerk.
Sleeping? Not now.
Yeah. Right. And that's the same way it was with them. Is like I've chatted with Zam quite a bit. A wonderful guy. I love him to death. Him and I see so much on the same political spectrum. and we'll just sit there and shoot the shit for hours. And Cheeto, like our love for comic books and old video games and whatnot. Like I love just bullshitting with the guy, and that's one of the things that is wonderful. That I think the internet really needs to kind of stand back and reevaluate where they are, because in toxic fandom these days, it's come down to, if you don't agree with me on everything, you're the enemy. And the beauty of a fandom is I don't have to agree with you on everything. The beauty of fandom is let's have a discussion. Let's agree to disagree, but let's discuss. And watching their channel grow from a very small channel to just about 2,700 subscribers has been a great thing. Because I think when they first started doing this, I think they had like 200 subscribers, or maybe 500 subscribers. Like, it was relatively small, but they were vocal as fuck, and they were passionate. And it's been a wonderful thing to see their channel grow so big, in a short amount of time, so it's just great to see, relationships, like I said, how they start off sometimes negative, just be some of the closest relationships you can have. So, but anyway, without further ado, we're going to be talking about the film. Like, we're going to listen to some of their gripes, or critiques or whatever. And, positives, going into some of the films as we go along, positives about the films, and addressing some of the issues. Cause originally we were going to be doing, interviews with them about the films, but, real life happens and we never got around to it. So I thought, well, let's actually just discuss some of this stuff and, talk about it. So, and I figured it'd be fun to have you join me on this, crusade. So here we go. So
Sam threatened that if I come on to theirs, or if we do something about this, I have to wear a wig.
Do you have a wig?
I don't own a wig in this world.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, we are going to start, and here we go.
Actually, I don't know where my wigs went. I was washing a couple of them.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. And welcome to Nerdtube. We're doing a fan film reaction. The Star Trek one, our favorites, of course. I'm here with Cousin Cheetah. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
All right, man. I'm just getting myself all pumped up for this, because this fan film is 45 minutes long. Made by No Budget Productions, and they do a lot of Star Trek fan films. And myself and Cousin Cheetah have seen snippets of this, but unfortunately, it wasn't the best introduction for us for this film, because Cousin Cheetah told me earlier that he didn't like this. He wanted to kill himself. I myself fell asleep watching this, which is not a good thing either.
So right off the bat, I have to say, if when you are reviewing something, I don't feel that it's appropriate to start off talking about, oh man, this is a piece of shit. If you're going to review something, like you need to say, you need to leave it open for the audience to make their own conclusions, and judge it when you get to the end, or judge it as you're going through it. But if we're already 47 seconds in, we're not even a minute into it, and you're already saying, oh God, hey guys, this is shitty. And I mean, to those that are watching the video, it's 55 minutes long, almost 56 minutes long. And if you're already a minute into it going, hey, this is a piece of shit. One person almost fell asleep. I want to gouge my eyes out. It's one of those things that's not the best way to start a review. So it's let them draw their own conclusions, or say, hey, we got this new film. It's out. Heard a lot about it. join us. Let's see what it is. It's a way to build mystery. That's what you do in any type of medium, regardless of what it is. And then when you get to the end, go, my God. and then say, yeah, I watched it before. I kind of wanted to fall asleep. This was no different. I don't think it's really ever positive if you tell the audience ahead of time this is really bad. It sets up that expectations of hatred or hey, the speaker's coming. Did anyone bring any tomatoes? To me, it just is never a positive thing. What are your thoughts, Frank?
Well, I agree. It's you don't set expectations. It's like that old saying, "Hey, you're really doing a great job," but well, let's go with actual, to like, okay, well, they did this, and this right. However, it didn't catch my interest, but I'm going to let you decide because, like anything else, we're here to critique as we go through. And I think that's what their style is basically, I don't think they do it on purpose to poke fun and to really tear things apart. I think that they're just brutally honest when they see something, and I think that's what their style, because I noticed they have changed a lot in their style. And part of this, I think, did come down from our dissertations and all of us, getting together and for a while doing Critical Not Cynical and things like that together. And I think that it's just an evolution. It's like anything else. Your first film, what my reaction is to that, and your reaction, man, who did the freaking sound for this? You learn.
Right. I think you're right. I think in the beginning, Nerdtube, and watching a couple of their other fan film reactions at the time, with the exception of, I think, Josh's, if memory serves, I think they were pretty harsh. I think they may have been going for the shock factor, and without doing what they've done here, like you can see a lot of the shock factor, like, fuck this piece of shit, but it really does when you're going for shock factor, or when you're setting up the audience to be like, hey, let's jump on the bandwagon of hatred or this, like it does kind of set that bar of pretty low, instead of, hey, let's review this together. Which, if you watch one of their reviews now, it really is, I want to say mellow, but it's not mellow. I would say it's matured. I would say is probably a more accurate word now. Like they've really grown into a good brand. No matter if they like the film or not, they've really grown into it. I mean, they're still the same people, and they still give you the same, man, this is shit, but it's not so much self-sabotage, I would say, because watching these older ones, there was nothing there that I was like, man, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to give these people the time of day. But I can watch a Nerdtube video now, even if it's on a topic that I'm not interested in.
Absolutely.
I see a Nerdtube's doing something live. I'm like, oh, I'll listen to that on my way to work. Even if I can't leave a comment, I still tune in. I'm big fans. Outside the friendship, I'm big fans.
And I think Sam getting the birds actually calmed him down.
You're absolutely right. People when they get pets, you're right.
It looks like he's got a flock of them in there now. I was watching the last one. Good Lord, has he started an aviary?
I was surprised when we filmed the other day, because to anyone that doesn't know, and I hope I'm not spoiling it for anybody, we are working with I think it's Harris Productions. I've dubbed them the boys. There's like 4 of them or 3 of them, but Steve Harris, Jeff Barnes, and a couple other people. It's Zam is going to be in those set of films.
Yes,
but
actually he is.
Yes. But I wrote a scene where I had the bird in there, and I only had known about the one, but there was I think 3 or maybe 4.
Yeah, three
Yeah.
or four. I've seen him in there.
Yeah, and I was surprised because when we actually got to the scene, and the one thing he brought up, and I've known before, is the two things that are hard to work with on set are kids and
Kids
pets.
and animals.
Yeah, yes, kids and animals, but you know,
And ball dancers.
well, it depends on the time of day. You know, it depends if you call them 5 minutes before the StreamYard and get them up. You know, no pun intended. But I was surprised but I wrote that scene for him specifically because again I always try to write to people's strengths, and I was surprised that there were so many birds. I was like, oh shoot, because I only remembered the one. You know, I only knew about the one. But I do agree with you. I think the birds helped mellow him out a lot. You know, just like any pet does. You know, it gives you somebody to care about and someone to love, and it's wonderful to see him. You know,
and they seem to love him, and that's really the cool thing. I remember when he was working with his first one, it was always so, you know, every time we came on, and I go, well, I can't remember the name, and I'm really feeling embarrassed right now. I can't remember the name of his first bird, but
was it Jadzia or Dax or something?
Yeah, I think was it Jadzia? No, it was Jadzia. That's what it was because I have a Dax. You have a Jadzia. So I mean, he had but it was great. It was great. So, anyways, we have once again for those who have never listened to Vance and I. If you want us to stay on subject, man, you come to the wrong channel.
Right.
we can derail 6 trains at a shot.
Right. So, all right, let's head back to the film, and we will. Man, we're only a minute in, and we're it's going to take like 3 hours. So, all right.
I mean, I've only seen 3 minutes of it, so
there you go, mate. 3 minutes, and you wanted to fucking end your life there and then, and you got 2 kids and a fucking girlfriend, and you thought, fuck all that. I still need to fucking because this fucking film is just doing that to me. I don't.
See, there's that positivity.
I mean, whilst you wanted to kill yourself,
it's like sunshine.
Yeah. I mean, whilst you wanted to kill yourself, I couldn't keep my eyes open. I mean, seriously. But nevertheless, I've taken some yogurt, some fruits, some caffeine sort of thingies to get myself all perked up for this shit. Had a little bit of sleep because this film did make me fall asleep. So now I'm a little bit awake. So I'm going to give it another shot, and hopefully I'll get to enjoy it and maybe understand it.
We'll just have to keep each other awake during this fan film.
For sure. Now I want people to understand that we understand that a lot of work goes into this by regular people using their own money who are not.
I love. I gotta stop, and I apologize that 2 minutes and I gotta stop it. I love the fact that they're like, "Wow, this is the biggest dog shit. I want to carve my eyes out. You got a kid and a girlfriend and nothing, you know. But man, outside that, I mean, there's nothing to live for because of this film. But you know, there's a lot of work goes into it. But man, this is life ending, you know, and that's." I love that how like, dude, that's not really the boomerang effect you're expecting it to be. You know, that's not a plus side, man. You know,
that's what you should start off with.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be like, you know, a lot of work goes into it, but you know, this really wasn't my cup of tea. But let's delve into it and let me know what you guys think.
However, I just learned on this how to tie 13 knots. You know.
I love it. I love how they're like, man, you know, we should try to keep each other awake during this. Like the only thing missing from their back and forth was, man, if we only had like shock wires between us, then we could do that. You know, that was like for me as a film producer, I'm like, man, how low can we set this bar? Like, man, that's like I'm just digging that trench even further, man. Shock! Shit! I mean, that would have made it more interesting.
Bring in some more black coffee. This was gonna be a long one. It's only 13 minutes, you know.
Oh shit! So that would have been even funnier. Like you got some, even if it's cold coffee, so you don't burn yourself, but you just like throw it in your fucking face because you know the film's so bad. Like that, like oh man, just make the reviews more funny than the film. Because if the film's that bad, like that's the direction you need to go. Because oh man, especially if it's like a 40-minute film. I mean, see that's.
I'll send Zam some wigs.
Dude, this is the way we need to go, man. This, you know, that's the self-sabotage film reviews we need to do. That's, oh man. See, this is cross promotion, Cheeto and Zam. That's what we need to do. Oh man. Anyway, okay, I'm going back to the review.
Not filmmakers themselves, just fans. We totally understand that, but nevertheless, we are the critiques. And when a fan film is done well, we will say, and when it's not done well, we will say it as well. We don't fucking pull our punches here. And unfortunately, at times, we have been criticized for being a bit harsh for previous fan films. But I can only say how I feel. You agree, Cousin Cheeto?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We give our honest opinion. Our no-holds-barred opinions is what I say.
Wonderful. So we're going to start watching this right now. So we'll do our usual countdown. Mm-hmm. You ready, my son?
I am.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commander Hagrid.
Commander Hagrid.
Got Thanos snapped, man. I mean, when I first saw this shit, and look, there we go with one of the Infinity Stones, and
he's got the nipples of tranquility on there, apparently.
When I first thought, I immediately thought of the snap in obviously Avengers, and on top of that, it kind of reminded me of the Nexus as well in from Generations. It was the Nexus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That as well to a degree. But we are seeing different time zones because that last clip there was from the original series.
And this one's from Picard timeline, it looks like.
I want no one to escape. Those are the words that the Destroyer said as he wiped out multiple universes.
Put your subtitles on, mate.
And he has my face. I couldn't let that stand. I had one experience with quadlithium.
Quadlithium?
Never again.
What is a quadlithium?
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
Other universes, and I
I'll look it up
because
I'm obviously invested in this.
My name is Eric Minard.
Eric Minard.
Make big money or save big money at Minard's. Quadlithium.
See, once again, when it comes to these Star Trek fan films, one of the things they do get right is the special effects.
I don't know about this one.
I don't mind. This is not too bad, dude. Like I said, it is a Star Trek fan film at the end of the day. For me, it's always to do with is the story engaging and is the acting good enough? You know, they could do it in their bedroom, but as long as the story's engaging and the acting is good enough, I'm willing to give the bedroom a pass. Willing to. Maybe not always. It all depends on the execution, of course. Vance Major.
Ooh, Quadlithium, Star Trek Expanded Universe.
Hemmorage.
Oh my God! It's actually about this. It's a fandom thing on this.
Hemmorage. I mean, that's what I'm gonna fucking get by the time I finish watching this shit. Emily, will you marry me? Like, this geezer, why is he dressed up in casuals? Yeah.
Oh, this geezer. I love... Man, I got to apologize for being fucking old, man. At my age, it's... shit. I am sorry for being fucking old, dude. You're right. You're right. I should have worn the mullet wig in this film. That's where it should have started, because then I could have hidden the age factor. That's... What's that?
I was going to say, he's talking about old, and I'm sitting there going, Okay, let me think. You see, Vance is young enough to be my son.
Well, you're Dust. I'm the geezer.
What-
You're
what-
Dust. That's,
Am I just like Admiral Methuselah?
well, maybe this was like the first fan film he watched, so he's like, well, maybe Minard's capping out at the age spectrum, and then he realized, oh shit, there's other older people, so I got to retract that comment. So it's all good.
I'm going to send him a clip of McCoy on the first episode of Farpoint, who is shuffling down with Data along the corridor.
That's a
I don't see no ears on you, boy.
No, I understand. Like I understand the critique that they have for why I'm walking in normal clothes. But we'll let this scene. We'll get through this scene and then we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Have you seen the film Minority Report?
Yeah.
With Tom Cruise. This kind of reminds me of the beginning of Minority Report when he's trying to figure out where that guy is at the beginning. He's having an affair who ends up getting killed by the husband. He's having an affair with the wife and all of that. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But there's no Ferris wheel. Was it a Ferris wheel? Yeah, you did it fun. Tricorder.
After last night's talk, I had a lot on my mind.
Okay.
Look at that.
Trust is something I'm very big on. I've never been able to trust a lot of people. I've been up to a lot of people.
Snap your W-2 and
Oh,
file
damn
your
it.
simple tax return for free.
Fucking ad.
See if you qualify.
On May 5th,
Why is every guy shirtless?
you can't do squats
Really?
without a brain.
I mean, you really can't do it.
There we go.
I could have done this because I've got premium.
No, I
Now,
never heard you, Eric.
next time we'll do you. You know how I feel about
Uh,
I want one of them to get snapped right now.
something I
Mhm.
avoid.
I feel the same way. If one believed in destiny, it might look something like this.
Well, you kind of forced destiny by asking me out.
Well, after weeks of your soft-spoken and slooped shoulders, the mild manner routine wasn't going to save you.
It's like I say, it's what you do to me.
It's been a great 4 months together.
You getting married after 4 months?
It's got me thinking.
Hey, look at Sam.
When you know, you know.
He said he was.
Hold on.
Big old
Oh,
Brian
Wait till we
and,
get through. Wait till we get through.
Furry man Miles.
Actually, go ahead, Frank. You you obviously have to, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, hey, look at. You already called him old. At his age, he can't wait.
I can't be Dust like Frank when I get there and married. Like how?
Look at Donna and I dated for 3 months and said, hey, we're not getting any younger.
Well, no, like, and that's part of the reason. Like when I wrote this scene originally, it was supposed to be me and her together. Me walking back and forth, and then she comes up. But there was no way for her and I to film together. So I was like, well, okay, sadly, this scene has to be cut to kind of a comm box type scenario, which that in films, you of course write the scene you want, and then you have to be satisfied with the scene that you have to film because of limitations. And then the editor edits the scene that you present them with the options that you have. So you end up doing at least 3 different films from the one that you conceptualize before you even start writing. And that sadly is what we have here, which is not to say that it's butchered, because, it's not. I mean, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, I had to convey, hey, this is the Kelvin universe's Minard proposing to Emily, which is something I wanted to show, because I wanted to show that connection of him and his wife and how they would go. Even though we couldn't be there in person, in a perfect world, I would have done it green screen, and try to make that connection. But Yava doesn't have a green screen to do it, and there's no way she can get to the studio to have somebody do it. We don't have the time or the people to get that done. So again, you have to film what's realistic within the limitations. So sadly, it ended up being a combox scene. But the 4 months was a reference to me and Mona. I proposed to Mona 4 months after we started dating because I realized one day after an argument, I was like, man, if I can get through this with her, this is it. This is love. It's not based on a feeling. It's based on a choice. And I choose to be with this woman. This is it. I don't want anyone else. So that's why I chose the 4 months, because everything in my films are always inspired from my life. So, and going back to what Cheeto had said earlier about the quad lithium, from the Star Trek Expanded Universe website he went to, that's done from Michael, I think, Studelberg. I forget what Star Trek Eagle, I think, is his web series. He tries to do to keep all these little things. He tries to keep tabs on them. Sometimes he does a really good job. Sometimes he's a little off on the facts, but he tries, and that's where they got their information from. For that. So, shout out to Michael and Star Trek Eagle for doing that. Cause, a lot of what you'll find on Google for Minard or Constar is from him. Cause I don't put any of that stuff out there. So, but is there any thoughts that you have so far on the review?
No, I mean, actually, in a way, and you know how I am, this point, what Sam has about why are you in civvies? I know the reason you do it now, but in the beginning when I said, I used to watch it, I go, how come there's so many civilian clothes here? But yeah, I could see somebody who expects a fan film to be like, Dreadnought or Avalon. Yeah. Or, Crossroads or even, George Cayenne and stuff like that. Everybody seems to be in uniform all the time. And you're the rare one to have people wear what they want. And what I don't think they understand, which everybody else understands about Constar films, is it's not necessarily about the window dressing. It's about the story itself.
Yeah. In a perfect world, I would go to the civilian aesthetics of what they had on DS9 or Next Gen or Voyager, like, those wonderful browns and beiges that the crew always seem to wear, the ugly, sweaters that Jake Sisko would wear, but, when you have no budget and you're like, well, screw it, I'm just going to wear a hoodie from my closet and or a t-shirt, you have to make do, when you're on set and you're like, well, I can either buy, an expensive uniform or I'll buy an El Cheapo uniform and I can feed my crew for the day. You really have to decide, where does my no budget stretch? How far do I stretch my, lack of a dollar, and that's ultimately here. You got to pick your locations on what's convenient, the time, cause again, I filmed this, I woke up at noon and I had to be to work at 3:30. So I shot this, in about a half hour, getting several different angles and making sure that there was no traffic, when it was traffic light in the middle of a city. And I did it all by myself with, no help. So those are the things where, audio may not always be best. Visual may not always be best, but you got to realize when you got people, staring at you, you got traffic driving by. Sometimes you got people thumping their fucking music. You've got, sometimes cops or ambulances driving by, and you're in the middle of the main park and you're trying not to get people in the background walking by, or they sometimes who walk up and they're like, are you making a film? Especially like when you're in a Starfleet uniform for some of the films that I've been in uniform in the middle of the park.
No, I'm looking for Pokemon.
Right. Like those things, those are the things that people don't seem to get where, hey, I don't have money to pay to block off this section of the city or section of the street or section of the park. Like I'm doing this trying to avoid people actively, You know, like, I mean, you'll notice in this scene, I'm sure, that Little Caesars is in the background, you know, because, well, I couldn't avoid that angle, you know, and it's just like, again, those things don't bother me because I'm focused more on telling a story, you know, not the specifics of, you know, in my mind, it's like, you know, I can throw it off by saying, well, you know, in Back to the Future Part 2, they had Cafe 80s, you know, so, you know, just ignore it, you know. So
yeah, it's the thing that the camera catches everything, and you know, you just do the best you can. I mean, you know, the angling and stuff like that, especially if you live in a place like I do. I have woods, but at certain times in camera pointing, you know, I may see the next development over here and there. So, you know, you can do it, but it does take time.
yeah, it's gonna pick that up, or it's gonna pick up the wrong audio that you don't want it to. You know, and it's frustrating. You know, and again, unless you understand the time that goes into making these things, you really don't have that understanding. You really don't know what goes into making them. You know, and it's easy to criticize unless you actually knows what goes into doing it. You know, you know, that's why I'm a little less harsh on criticizing fan films, unless they just don't try, you know, or they get advice and they don't take it. You know, that's the only time I really criticize somebody and just says, this is absolute dog shit, you know, where when you give them advice and say, hey, do it this way, you'll get a better result. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That's the only time where I'm ever just vicious on someone, you know. So, all right, we're going to continue playing.
It reminded me of the first time I met.
Furry face Miles.
Oh, did it now? That's strange.
It was the dance.
It was
The safety dance.
It was a special night, wasn't it?
It was.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
I knew even then.
Jesus Christ, are we still in this fucking scene? Seriously?
Yes.
Come on, like.
I'll save the last dance for you. Lady Silva. Will you marry me?
Over the tricorder? Man.
Yes! Oh, yes!
Could have been there and shit like that, for fuck's sake.
Vulcan was attacked by some giant ship.
All of a sudden, like, somebody comes in and goes,
Shit.
end simulation.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was hoping you'd be on a holiday. Jesus Christ. It's what happens when you sit at a fucking desk too long, mate.
Oh my god.
The Hell's Angels in space.
Is that
Looking
supposed to be
Romulans.
Shinzon? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be like the new
okay,
age
first off,
Romulans.
there won't be all that smoke in space.
Yeah, there's no space. I just know it. Look at this. Oh, look at this. I don't think it's like amalgamation of like the Calvin and the modern day universe with their fucking layout. It's just weird. Are these different like universes? I don't know.
Eric, it's Emily. You better get down here.
For over 50 years,
Oh,
Walden
Jesus.
University has been advancing remote learning to give you
The Valiant was destroyed.
Yeah. This is 3 years later.
I'm looking for inspiration to stay awake at this point. Jesus Christ.
You see, this is one of my issues. Like, it's good that they're adding Star Trek they're making a Star Trek film, but sometimes when they do shit like this, like that engagement scene and this now, it doesn't feel Star Trek-y at all.
No.
It feels like some other thing. And I don't mind them trying ideas, but if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
Dude, this whole thing just doesn't work so far.
I mean,
See, here's I would agree with one thing, or at least I can say that I see the point of someone who says they think that the music scene here for the the graveyard scene is not to their liking. I get where someone would be able to say that, and I understand that. But for me, I enjoyed the song, and for me, I'm like, no, I don't care. I like it. For me, I want that there, and that's why I chose that. But I can't null the feelings of somebody who says I don't like that. It's too long for me. I get that, and that's a perfectly valid point. However, where I would have to disagree is the scene between Eric and Emily. To sit there and say, God, we spent so much time with these characters. Why did we do this?
Yeah.
And then in the next scene, that character's killed. And you're like, God, this doesn't work. And now we lead into, we're spending so much time with this song with Eric because he's lost that love. Like, that is storytelling. And again, it may fall short for at this point these two. And again, keeping in historical context, this is not Zam and Cheeto now. This is Zam and Cheeto then. And again, Zam and Cheeto now would be like, oh, Minard's losing more girlfriends, you know, and it's the biggest inside joke, you know, which I love. I fucking love that, you know. But you know, you're talking to people who you have no idea who these people are. And again, this is Minard 2, Hemmorage. You should probably have seen Minard 1, or you should probably have seen some of the Constar films. You're starting in a sequel of a film that had, at this point, I think like 80 films, you know, or like 100. Like, you probably shouldn't have picked this one to start, because you really are dropped into something. What are you watching? You know.
Well, to be perfectly honest with that, if I remember correctly, is Hemmorage had just come out, and they may have been at that point beginning to do the Star Trek. I don't know how long they had been in business at that point. So for them who are beginning to get into fan films to whatever degree it is, are going to pick the first one that they say, oh, this is recent, and not realizing that you had already X number of years. And, you know, so I think a part of their problem here was the fact that they at this time, they didn't do enough background research to say, oh, well, it looks like he's got a whole mess of these. Maybe we should, you know, take a look at a few of them and then find one to review that might be good or not. So I think that's the thing. You just can't take anything out of the mix. Like we were talking about Rebirth, where a few of the challenges I had with that and seeing some of the comments were, okay, we don't know where all of this came from. Well, they don't know that this plan has been seen in at least 2 other Constars. One is Time's Echo, and I know there was another one I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then we're back, and this is why, in my mind, when I rewrote some of the scenes for After the Fall that we're editing right now, is I said, okay, maybe we need to start doing tires in here. So in case we get something like this, they have, oh, okay, maybe this went back to another film.
Right.
Maybe I can go back and look at it. But I think that's part of why this turned them off, is because you're absolutely right. They didn't do enough research to find out what you had before.
Right. It wasn't self-contained, or I mean, on a certain point, like this is not only a sequel to the first film, but it's an entire version of this guy's life from the Kelvin timeline point of view. It's like this was made specifically for the connected audience. It was made specifically for a specific type of person, and sadly they picked up the wrong film. You know, there would have been 20 other films that I could have said, hey, watch this or watch this or watch this or watch this. You know, watch Break Free, watch Resistance, watch Minard, you know, the first one, watch The Holostone.
Even the 11th Hour, even though they did a re-story of that in Picard this week, 11th Ave Museum Jim goes out and rescues. I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah. No, it's one of those. It's one of those where like this is a terrible film to start your introduction to a con star. Because you don't know. But I don't think even from a story perspective, you see these people, proposing. You kind of complain about why are they talking about their fucking emotions? Oh man, and then they die. And, oh man, and then we see this guy standing in her grave. God, he's just standing. This doesn't work for me. It's like, fuck, dude. What do you want, Bruce Willis and Die Hard? Like, I don't know what to give you. Like, obviously, if you're not happy with this, what are you happy with? Like, I don't know what to do to make you happy. So it's one of those things that you really should decide if this isn't your type of film. You probably shouldn't review those because you're never going to be happy with those.
Well, look, if you had a mullet on,
that's completely different because I'm a young buck. I'm a young buck with his life ahead of him.
Sam would have showered you with praises. He would have been there. Jason would have just shook his head and went.
Based on the review from Rebirth, I'd have got 2 extra points.
That's right. I mean, I think was it 2 he took off, or did he take off 1?
You lost 2 points for no wig, Frank. So I mean,
well, I could have put my goatee up on top of my head, I guess.
Well, I imagine you're like one of those Mr. Potato Heads now. Like you're just not real anymore, Frank.
That's right, exactly.
All right, we're going to continue.
I'm going to make him a special film of
These are the scruffiest Star Trek officers.
What's that?
I'm going to make him a special film. You're going to write it for me. I'm going to have nothing but wigs, and I'm going to be an old man.
Frank the Potato Head on our OnlyFans for $1.99 a month.
That's right.
I think they already did put you on a ship that is sinking. It's called this fan film. It's just sinking right before our very eyes.
Which is ironic because I have a fan
film. The guy who's sinking this fan film, like him, the guy in the yellow hat. I was like, I want to say shave my beard, but my God, I would clean it up, make it way more presentable. Yeah, so I look like a fucking Starfleet officer, not some fucking.
That's ironic because I never fucking shaved my beard.
Pulled himself out of the bar just to get.
I mean, look at him. He looks like he should be fucking about to get into his truck right now and going to Alabama.
But he doesn't have a truck.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Why is he standing there for so long, man?
The song has to finish.
Am I supposed to feel emotional?
And we're supposed to get emotionally invested.
Oh, his beard is a little bit trimmed here. He finally did it.
Because after about 30 seconds, we are attached to these two.
Yeah, like, you don't get it, do they? Like, get the Star Trek shit going, man. Not
Again, I don't get it. Is it too long because you guys have sat there through the entire conversation and it was too long? Or is it 30 seconds because you... Is it too long? Is it too short? I don't know. That's... I'm astounded.
The fucking Days of Our Lives emotional fucking daytime soap opera bullet.
Treks of Our Lives. Is that Vicky Guerrero?
Is she wearing a fucking pajamas with hearts on it and a hoodie?
Are you okay?
I appreciate everything you've done with Emily. She would have too.
Well, that's what friends are for. I'll always have your back. You know that.
You've been my best friend for a long time.
I feel the same way.
You lied to me.
After Ella's death, my life was in shambles.
You told me I was your best friend.
YouTube Music is a music app.
Jesus
and with
Christ.
Music Premium, you'll have the freedom to play over 80 million official songs.
Cheated on me.
Ugh.
If I ever get a ship of my own, I want you there.
Oh, he's moving on quick.
If you think that ship can handle all this.
Oh God. She's channeling her Luoxana Troy.
Cringe.
Be an honor to serve you one day.
Yeah, serve under you.
And on top of you. And by the and the spoons.
It took forever to get on the track.
Okay.
felt so isolated.
I do like these uniforms though.
Nothing anyone said helped.
Yeah, man. Time is a healer. That Vulcan looks good.
Yeah. Oh god, here we go again. He's got a lot of friends.
I want, this is Star Trek. I want more orchestral music, not this shit. I do like these sort of uniforms they're wearing, these red and yellow ones. I like them a lot.
I don't think Roy ever changes his background.
No, that's the thing. I've always told Roy to film along a blank wall. Like that's what I tell everyone. Like if you have a green screen, use a green screen. If you don't, use if you're in an official capacity, shoot along a blank wall, because a blank wall is very TOS like. Even if we're in a different era, just shoot along a blank wall, because that's very generic. For TNG, DS9, whatever, it's not recognizable and you can't pick it out, like the little Caesars in my background. But no, I always tell anybody, just shoot along a blank wall. If you have a white wall, shoot along that. If you have a blank wall, shoot along that, because it's not like you've got, your wedding picture in the background or a picture of a wolf in the background. Like just shoot along a blank wall, and it's easy to just put you on the, monitor. Yeah. So that being said, no, Roy usually will shoot along a blank wall. Now if it's and that's always, I always tell people that if you're in an official capacity, blank wall is the easiest if you don't have a green screen. If it's a casual environment, or if you're on vacation, if your character's on vacation or something, or like I said, if you're at home instead of on the ship, usually I'll say, just go ahead and shoot it in your living room and just put the camera somewhere off to the side and put a picture of you in a uniform or someone in a uniform on a table next to you or something, just to give the illusion of a 23rd century or 24th century, something Star Trek-y that's in your living room, and film that way. So I always try to give slight variations, but it's always, it's always to the independent or individual person of how they do it. And I always give total freedom, and I never complain however they send it to me. So.
Oh, yeah.
Why weren't these actors in this?
Even years later.
That's a good question. The reason why, like these people who are just having the 10-second pop-up, a lot of them, hold on, Neelix, stop. Here you go. Let me pull you. Come on. Go ahead. Go. There you go, buddy. You're good. Go ahead, pal. You're okay. The Vulcan who played Spock in this scene, McCoy right here, all the other ones. At the time, when you get to a schedule, all of these people, they don't have a lot of time. We all have lives. We all do this for free. So whenever I'm doing something where I'm like, hey, can you give me 20 seconds? And it doesn't matter what you're doing, just, either listening or maybe talking. I'm going to have a montage, and I'd love to have you in the film. This is a big film, and I need a scene where, in Minard's, what is now very popular for Minard, a brooding moment, I'd like to have you in there. So we're going to have flashes of other characters, which is going to signify time passing, but him talking to people or him listening to people, So I have a bunch of people coming on screen as Minard's listening and going through, that passage of time. So that's why these characters pop up. And it's very easy to do, but you just need 10 seconds, 15 seconds of each person, doing their own thing. But it gets people in the film, but you don't necessarily have to have much conversation. So.
Yeah.
Emily's death was still felt.
Okay, so that's like a classic Trek outfit.
So many ships destroyed.
No, it's Star Trek Beyond.
Desperate for command's level officers.
This one is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Jack off from your promotion.
Because again, we're in between time we're in between the time eras, kind of like between Star Trek the original series and Star Trek the motion picture.
Oh, okay.
It's not the Jones I'm concerned with. It's a memory of Emily.
All of this change has got to be hard. What do you think he wants?
Why is there a glare on
She'd
his
punch
screen?
me and say, "Take the job, fathead."
Because they forgot.
Oh.
I can hear her saying that.
In the Kelvin
Forgot to
universe,
cover it.
Are you going to?
in the again showing. Hey Rufus, stop.
The lens flare.
Yes, in the Kelvin universe, it's the lens flare that's those are the that's what I love George for this. George shaved his beard for this, so he's a little different from the original series or from the TOS Holt Allen. He shaved his beard so he looks different, and then he used his Kelvin era uniform. So again, to look different, so he looked like the Kelvin era, but then he added the lens flare in there because George is very good with practical sets. In fact, his sets and background inspired my sets for major studios. Because again, looking at just anything he puts in his backgrounds, I look at that and I'm like, oh shit, I can make that. Oh, hell, I can make that. I can do this, and he's so smart in what he does. And he is. I would recommend anybody who wants to know how to make a good fan film or just be inspired and to go do something on their own. This guy, Starship Antilles, George Cayenne, go watch his films and just look at the backgrounds when you're watching it. He's very creative, but those lens flare, that's what it is. It's JJ inspired. So that's why
and at this point in time, if you're watching this, and this is just a time dated, this is April, what's today's date?
15th.
Oh, that's right, April 15th. How could I forget that? Wonderful day, but it's not till the 18th this year. Is the fact that he is still in the process of rebuilding his sets because he had to get a new place. So hopefully he'll be shooting soon again.
No, he's written the first half of the third season, which is his final season.
Yeah.
So he's got about half of them written. So he's on his way. He'll get there. And as George has shown us in the past, nothing can stop him. So
what I meant to say is the last thing I saw, I think it was 2 days ago on Facebook from him, is that he's rebuilding his bridge and everything else. He's got the original area or something like that where he had it set up. So he's in the process. So hopefully that will be coming out shortly. But anyways, let's continue on with this.
Okay.
I think so.
Just take the goddamn job, man. You need to move on with your fucking life.
You pray about it first.
You're taking that stuff seriously.
They're right. Minard does complain an awful lot.
He says he has to pray about it.
Story of my
pray
life.
to the Zam above.
What about you?
As much as I want to head home, Starfleet needs every ship now. And the Antilles is on the front line with the Klingons.
How does Natalie and Iona fit into that equation?
I don't like the idea of leaving them alone for any period of time. But I don't like the idea of them being killed.
Zam.
Even less.
What the hell are they talking about?
I don't know, but we're only 11 minutes in, man.
Well, it was only 35 minutes or so of this.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's so simple. Like they're two friends talking about, I'm about to take this job. Yeah, I think you should. I'm on the front line with the Klingons. This is why I'm doing it. I don't get it, Frank. It's so apparent. How is this hard to understand?
I don't know.
Hard? Is it confusing?
No, it's not confusing to me. I think I think what happened was here is the beginning turned them off. So now they're looking for anything in this particular aspect of it. And again, they're disjointed in the storyline.
I don't. I mean, in all of my films, it really boils. I mean, I break it down everything to be so simple. I mean, it's okay. Hey, take the fucking job. I'm on the front line with the Klingons. I mean, it really is. It's so simple. No. Okay. I even if you don't know who Iona and Natalie are, they're two people who you care about, obviously, because you don't want them to fucking die. Like, Okay, I don't really know who they are, but you don't want them to die. Okay, I may not know who they are, but you obviously care about them. But you're on the front line with the Klingons. I mean, again, it's not complicated. I mean, it's a simple story, you know. Bless their hearts.
Shit to go. We can do this.
No, we can't. I can't do it, Sam. I can't. Babe, get my cyanide. Get my cyanide pills. I need my cyanide pills. Because this fan film is awful. Oh my god.
The adventures we'd have, my friend. Good journey.
Good journey.
Get lost.
That's what we should say at the end. We should be like one of us should say good journey and the other one should say get lost.
Look, you're missing this. Like he's meeting other versions of himself. How did this happen?
I began researching where this traveler came from.
Wait, how did that happen? Did I miss something like that?
At a Klingon prison.
And this is part of the reason why you should watch the other films.
Right.
Like to anyone that criticizes my films. And this is not a nitpick on Zam or Cheeto, not at all. I mean, yes, it is, but it's not. This is a criticism for anyone that bitches about my films. I understand not wanting to go through 150 fan films to understand what's going on in one. However, if you are not going to invest in a series, you can't complain when you don't know what the fuck is going on. And that goes for any show. I can't go into The Walking Dead season 8 and go, how the fuck are the zombies there? What is going on? Where is Rick Grimes? I thought he was there. Where is Rick? Where is Rick? Where is Rick? Well, he fucking left at the end of season 7, I think it was. Like, it's spoilers for those that don't fucking know. But I can't sit there and complain if I don't sit there and watch the fucking show.
Yeah,
that's the problem. People will sit there and say, well, that's a lot of fan film. No, it's really fucking not. Because if you sit there and watch every episode of Walking Dead, that's an hour per episode. Some of my fan films are fucking 5 minutes long. Some of them are 40. Some of them are an hour. Some of them are 30 minutes. Some of them are 20. Most of them are 5 to 10.
It's 20 hours and some odd minutes to watch them all because we've done it.
Well, but that was before I went for my final season. So, you know, we'll let that go. Maybe 30 hours max. 30 max. That being said.
And I have the coffee overdose to prove it.
But that being said, if you're not going to invest, you cannot complain if you don't know what is going on. Because everyone that knows and has watched completely understand the different Minards, the different ships, the relationships, the complexity, the universe that we've created. So this is not a gripe at Zammercheeto. This is a gripe to any person, any troll, any criticism, not critic, but cynicism. If you cannot invest in the episodes, shut the fuck up.
If you can't do the time, don't do the wine.
Oh, good Lord. Shit.
That's a good one. It just came out.
That is. I like that. You should put that on one of our shirts for our store.
Yeah, that's
right. We never push. But I mean that really, it's just like people who would say, "Well, I thought Grissom was on the Dominion." If you're not going to watch the episode, then you have no fucking. If you don't want to know, if you're not going to watch, I mean, come on, man. You know, it's like
all over the place now.
You are. No, and that's the thing. Like, we have made fan films so we have done so many crossovers.
Jose Cepeda is all over the place now. George, is George been in? We have to get George into one of Crossroads.
I'm sure he'd love to do it. But David Chang's been in all of them, or a lot of them. Jose Cepeda has been in a lot of them. Michael Strudelberg's been in a lot of them.
Of course, Gary and Randy. I mean,
and Randy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Josh has been. Look at Glenn Wolfe. Glenn Wolfe has been in a billion of. He's that. People said I was the Where's Waldo. We are outside of that mentality of you can only stick in your franchise, but if you're not going to watch the fucking films,
it's the multiverse.
Well, I wouldn't even say no. We have created that. Jump on over, But anyway, let's go ahead and watch.
Hey, you know what? We should invite Strange New Worlds to join our crew.
Go right ahead. If you think Anson Mount will come, hey.
Yeah. Well, we could ask him if we could be on Strange New Worlds.
I got some farmland in Florida for you.
Cool.
Different versions of yourself?
Another time. I delved into several myths trying to find where he came from. I found another that terrified me just as much.
He's got all these different actors working with him. And yet all it is about this fucker. There's not a fucking adventure that's going on or some shit like that.
Because it's his life story.
And him trying to get on with his fucking life, and they turned that into Star Trek.
Why couldn't this be 15 minutes long and Squadrons be longer?
Yeah, I agree.
Because they had a budget, and I don't. That's what happens when you're working for free.
Lightsabers.
I was about to say, are those lightsabers? No, they're
Sonic screwdrivers.
Doctor Who things.
Yeah.
Galactic screwdrivers or whatever those things are called.
Yeah. Cosmic screwdriver or something like that.
Yeah, whatever that vibrator's called.
Eventually, I thought I found love again.
Oh, he's got a new piece of ass.
But then her ship went missing. I accepted the first I had a friend on the team, so.
Oh God! What is he, like the Job of the Federation?
Jeez, wasn't all that good. I was able to help patch that up. I guess Admiral Grissom was grateful for that.
Well, Commander, are you ready for the big chair?
Yes, sir. I think I am.
Once you meet with a TurboTax expert who will do your taxes for you, you're free to do not taxes.
Someone was sending you a very clear message there, Frank.
Well, what did they say? I didn't hear it.
No, because it went to the, they're like, man, we didn't want to see Grissom. Let's go to the.
Think or
I'm ready. What's the assignment? Commercial.
Your request to go in search of the missing ships has been approved.
That was a long shot. I'm honored you have that much faith in me.
Admiral Austin thinks that you have what it takes. He's going to give you a Constar, but...
Given the fact that she's gone now as well.
Exactly. The ISIS may not be as glamorous as the Constar or the Valiant, but she'll get you to where you're going.
It's going to be like a runabout.
They got a ship called the ISIS.
Hey, I got a cat in the ISIS.
It's going to be a runabout.
It's the goddess of
going to have a good self-destruction capabilities. Oh, look at this. You got to be kidding me with that crew.
It's not exactly the reaction I was looking for.
Cadet Gale's inquiry is in 4 weeks.
He looks like a host of a game show. Take the blue door or the red door.
I
They really need to trip out more on Nature's Hunger. I love Nature's Hunger.
I love how it's like 2 years later and we're still having like the same conversations about Jose whenever he pops up.
Oh, that's right. I sent him that shirt to use, didn't I?
I think so.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. I love how every time he pops up in one of my films, like they go ecstatic and they still have like the same things to say. And like, they're still like, they're like, oh, there's this fucker. Oh, he's got the hairdo. Oh, he's got the, like,
well, you saw when they did the review on Rebirth, they said the same Think about
Yeah, no, like it's always the same. But like I know if they were to ever meet him, it would be like the biggest hugs because it's like they love this guy.
I love Joe. He's great.
Like it's the greatest. Like, and again, it shows how far they've come.
Yeah.
And since this, like it's so great because it's like and the fact that like now they know like the reason why we do the mask and the reason why it's because they had no idea if it was the same person, but dude, it was the same person. It was just him. We only had the one uniform, but like it's it's so much fun because again, like every time he pops up, they're like, it's kind of like Norm in Cheers when they're like, "Hey, Norm."
It's funny because they've gotten to grow and know the characters in the films, and now when they say something, it actually I believe it's more out of love of the character, love of that they do because like Zam like you were saying, you didn't have any freaking wigs on,
Yeah, no, it's great. Like it really is. Yeah.
If I had been in Hemmorage and I had a wig on, he would have torn me to shreds.
Oh, he'd have been like, "Oh, look at this fucker! Oh, look at this guy." Yeah, no, it really there's.
It's funny how things work out,
Yeah, like it really is, Yeah, again, it's funny how here we are 2 years later and we're having the same conversation about Jose, but it's just refreshing every time he pops up. I love Jose. He's such a wonderful fucking guy. I had a conversation with him last night about our upcoming Constar Fan Film Awards, and he's such a humble guy. And I love his films. I mean, I have no idea what the hell is going on in any of them, but I love them nonetheless because I feel like I'm Zam and Cheeto watching his films when when I watch them because I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I love the fact that they're there and that they're being made. Because he loves them because it's one of those things where instead of just going and making a Planet of the Apes films, he's like, I'm going to cross that over with Star Trek, or instead of making a Wizard of Oz film, I'm just going to cross it over with Star Trek. And it's one of those things that who does that? Well, Jose does. Well, there you go, and I love it because that enthusiasm is just wonderful, and it's infectious. He infects others with that positivity, and I love that because I wish we had more of that in fan films. He's where George Cayenne radiates creativity. Jose, I think, radiates positivity. So.
And it's funny because I love Joe for the fact that he's a retired colonel, and I would love to have been under his command to see how he actually performs in a military environment, because I think he would be the type of officer that people would follow, and that would say, yeah, he knows his crap. I mean, I don't know what he was. I think I saw engineering on his lapel. I have to look at some of the pictures he has, but I mean, I've got great respect for Joe. Respect.
I didn't know that about him, but now that you mentioned that, like, it does not surprise me, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. He'd be that person where, Star Trek 3 comes along and you're like, yeah, let's go steal the Enterprise and rescue Spock. The word is no, therefore I'm going anyway. Let's go, Captain Ramses. That's, he's that type of guy, just a real charmer.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe he was Cav. Actually, I think I did see him with a Cav on his uniform. I'll have to check again. I'll have to talk to him and find out what.
Yeah, let me know that's like, and that's the thing of that's the wonderful thing about doing these films is. You can kind of incorporate some of that into the characters that they do, but you get to meet them as people. I mean, because think about that, Frank. How many times have we met people that we otherwise wouldn't know? Like, I mean, hell, take the three people that we see on screen right here. Cheeto, I never would have met somebody as enthusiastic about classic games or fucking Spider-Man as I know right there. And I've had many conversations about that as I have with him. And I love that guy to death. Look at Zam. You know, how many times have I talked with him about politics and just current world stuff going on? And I've had so many great conversations. I love that guy to death. And he's a wonderful person at heart. And then looking at Jose, wonderful guy, wonderfully infectious about his knowledge and enthusiasm of Star Trek. And I had no idea about his military career, but it does not surprise me. But all three of these individuals are, on a personal level, completely different. But I love each one of them individually. And I can't say enough good things about them, you know. And that's what fan films does, is it bring all these different types of people together.
Exactly.
And
it's family. It is family.
Especially in a world that is so divided. This type of stuff gives me hope. This is why we do fan films. You know, even films that aren't as marketable per se, or glossy, you know, polished per se. You know, this is why we do it. You know, because you meet wonderful people who you just have that relationship with. You know. But all right, we'll go ahead and continue.
Cool. It looks like what's the guy from the Hangover movies?
Yeah, I know you're on about. Yeah, he was also in Infinity
Community. Yeah. Oh, what is that? There's a dinosaur mask on him.
Isn't that what's it, that frog lady from Mandalorian?
Yeah, maybe.
And this isn't the man that you want to be.
What do you mean?
Aren't they supposed to be looking at the screen?
But running to what?
So he's reading his lines off screen.
Of course you
There.
You know, they're laughing at this, but those are all Joe. I mean, there is a lot of creativeness in the way you put it.
I love it. I don't. Here's the thing, man. I don't give a shit. I love it. Like every time I see it, I don't care. Like the thing is, like when you watch a Star Trek Nature's Hunger film, and you see the Scooby-Doo running completely sideways, where you can tell they ain't fucking running. But they I fucking love it. Like it's so cheesy, but I dig it because it's like that's part of the charm. And you know, it would not surprise me if Jose is really just trolling all of us and going, you know, I fucking know it's corny, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna see if you're gonna be dumb enough to put it in your film. You know?
No, I think he just enjoys it because he has a world view of everything is so stupid out there and so critical. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm just gonna make it. And that's why I love Nature Hunger films.
Well, and I tell you, Star Trek Nature's Hunger is one of the fan films that I have no problem letting Royce watch. Mm-hmm. And Royce is like, "Oh, look at that alien! Look at that alien!" And he does not care that it's an alien. Like he doesn't see that. He sees, "Oh, it's an alien. Hey, that captain's with an alien. My dad's talking to an alien." And I tell you, when between Jose and George using the alien masks, it gave me the confidence to go buy my own and do that on my screen. And I really wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for those two people. And Royce has actually worn those masks on screen because of watching Nature's Hunger.
Oh yeah,
you know, and that's because it's such a lighthearted film. And he gets to see those, you know, and again, you don't see the mouths move because we can't do that. We don't have that budget. We can't. But it allows us to, you know, hey, I don't have to hire another actor. I can just green screen this and call it good. But I tell you, man, having it be him in the one scene, you can film that, knock that out in an hour or however long, instead of having to be like, well, I need to have 6 different people come over and do the, where you can't do it. So it allows you to film in a way, it just opens up things so much more.
See, and the funny thing about Sam, sort of like the guy who's in one of our films that will be probably showing it up in other films, where somebody with a mask on is not speaking, but Zam is doing the actual voiceover for him.
Yeah, again, the irony.
The irony
of a lot of, like Zam said earlier in the review, where he's like, these people who film in their bedrooms, and I'm like, well, that's ironic, 'cause that's what he's doing for the space station thing, and then here, where he's the voice of the guy in the mask who shot and put Minard in the Phantom or the Tilt-A-Whirl, who is the guy in the final film, the main bad guy, the cult leader. Again, and that's not a slight at Sam. It's just he didn't know then what he knows now, and that's again showing the relationship we have now.
I mean, he went when he started talking. I mean, he went out and bought Star Trek shirts and everything else. It's great. I mean, I love Zam.
Oh, I love it. Oh yeah,
I love Jason too. I mean, I talk about Zam all the time, but Jason has always been more.
Jason's always been Jason, but Zam's really like I said, matured, I think is the proper word. And he's really, I think personally. Because Cheetos made a film a long time ago, and we all reviewed that and watched it, and I enjoyed it. But Zam, I think, has really gained an insight on, not just these people who put their love and heart and whatever into it, but he's really gained an insight on how do we do this, how do we make this, how do we do what goes into, because we spent, I think, probably 4 hours filming, him and I, and actually delving into the script and how to film and how to do this and doing
wow,
the
that's
takes.
great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did. We did. I directed him on it, and I tell you, man, and this is just between you and me. Don't tell Zam.
No, we will never say anything that about Sam, especially in public.
But he's really good.
I think he is.
He's really. When you see the takes that I think the editor will pick.
Oh, the one. Oh, on this upcoming. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about stuff done. Yeah.
No, when you see like we were able to pull some really good performances. Some really good performances. So
great.
So Boss Nass is sitting there in the chair. I can't do it. Zam, we have to, dude.
What is it? We're going. We're soldiering this, mate.
Trust me, as a fellow captain.
This even has got a reptile fetish, man. What is going on here?
It's not that, but even him looking at it, you can tell he's wearing a toupee. That hair ain't real.
No, that's all natural, baby.
Yeah, that is. I was going to say that's just the way he wears his hair.
That's it. I wish I had hair like that.
I wish I had
Keep
hair.
punching that tablet, mate.
Right.
You're the only one that the Federation is going to listen to as a character witness.
And this storyline goes into when I did all of these different storylines that weave into the Kelvin universe. All of these are plays on what happened in the real timeline, except the road not taken. Like when we go into the story with the Valiant, Minard in the regular timeline, he loses Emily, but he was never he wasn't promoted to first officer. He stayed engineer. So in this timeline, he was promoted to first officer.
But he doesn't lose Emily in this one.
No, he loses Emily. She dies.
What is?
Yeah. She dies in this one still. I mean that's the one constant. Because I always wanted that one thing to remain constant. He loses Emily. In this one, you did not. You left the Dominion, but you didn't fix shit with your crew. And in this one,
and that's where Cool Calm and Collected came into.
yeah, and in this one, there was never that gap, and Minard helped you because you guys were friends. Where that was not the case in the in TOS timeline, because we were not friends. There was that gap with you and your crew, and it took a lot longer for you guys to bridge that gap. Because for years in TOS timeline, you guys were estranged because the Dominion crew were like, "Why did he fucking leave? I don't know. Where did he go? He just left." So I wanted there to be that gap where Minard was like, "Hey, bub, go fucking talk to them." So I wanted that to be there. Same thing here in TOS timeline. Minard will help with the Gale case and be a character witness for her and help. Where it's in this timeline, the Kelvin timeline, he says he'll do it, but he never gets the chance to do it.
Right.
And that's the tragedy here. Is everything is always, well, it's similar, but it's the road not taken.
Yeah, it's always what other fork did you take that didn't bring you to where you were in the TO, which makes a lot of sense.
Right. And I wanted it to be, by the time this Minard gets to the TOS timeline, or next gen timeline, by the time he shifts, because he jumps, he basically pulls, he basically jumps opposite way of what Spock did in 2009 movie, and jumps ahead into our universe. I wanted him to be similar but different enough. So
yeah.
So I think we're going to go for about another.
I mean, this is a green screen.
Let's see. Right here, give me a second.
No, but this is a green screen.
We're at an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think we're going to go for. I think we'll hit the 27-minute mark, 28-minute mark, and then we'll call it good.
Yeah, because basically I think we covered what we want to talk about in the line.
Well, the next time we come back, we can make it a part. We can make it a part 2.
Oh, okay, we could do that.
Because I mean, there's still a lot to talk about with what I'm sure they're going to. But I mean, I want to go spend time with Royce. And have guys' night. But I think we'll hit the 27-minute mark and then call it good.
That sounds good.
And then next we'll make a part 2 for this.
A lot of costume changes. 1 minute he's red, now he's yellow.
And that was one of the beauties about doing this film was I wanted to hit every character I could that had never been in a Kelvin uniform, because I really wanted to show, hey, Minard, this is still Minard. This is still a guy who's talked to everybody, but he hasn't. He's just, things have changed slightly. So I was able to grab all these different characters and put them in. So I'll get it. Give me about 10 minutes, buddy, and I'll go grab it. Okay, buddy?
If he was red in engineering and then yellow now for command.
Also, this is original series era.
This is original series era. Yellow is command.
I don't know why he thinks us. I don't wonder why he's
is a truly frightening movie experience.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it on mine next time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. Kimberly would have been proud.
God, that guy reminds me of my dad.
Yeah. Well, that's changed since Battle of Vulcan.
Battle of Vulcan?
You ain't changed, though, have you, man?
God, Chamberlain, don't you pick on my old XO.
Where's Grand Admiral Archer?
I'm just glad we got you back in one piece.
It's like,
well, and that's the thing. A lot of these films, because this one, I don't think he had returned just yet on Dominion. I don't think. Or we changed it slightly. Again, everything was just slightly different. I know we had talked about it, but I made it just slightly different. But again,
Cool, Calm, and Collected, he still was in. Was it Romulan or was it? Yeah, he was still in a Romulan prison.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was because of. I don't know. There was never a backstory on why he got there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a Red Medusa or not.
Yeah, it was like it was slightly different though. It was I don't remember. I think maybe he was he the XO?
He was my when in Haunted. He's my original XO, Don Chamberlain.
Yeah, I think he might have been XO here, not Gary. I see. Again, I don't like. Again, I forget.
He is XO when we do Cool, Calm, and Collected. He's XO of the Dominion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that. And I remember, I forget what part of the conversation I had, but I remembered my intention originally was I wanted something, I really wanted to show a difference with them, but I knew there was something that with the time of what they were wanting to do with Gary, or not Gary, with Don, or Dan, with Dan.
With Dan, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, how can I make this so that I'm not spoiling, but I'm sort of spoiling? Like, how can I make this different? Just different enough. So, and I don't know if it necessarily came across that way. So, but again, when you're working with different timelines and different actors and whatnot, and then you're trying not to spoil other productions that aren't necessarily out yet, it's one of those.
This came well after Red Medusa. Don had already come back.
Yeah. But I don't remember what I changed. I'd have to go back and look at it.
I'd have to go back and look at it. I didn't notice anything. I'm trying to remember the film too. But we're like, regardless, we're back on this. So you and I had this really horrible. What was that? What's your name again?
We'll
sign out of my OnlyFans. You'll know.
But this guy is like, it's just all about him, nobody else.
And he didn't have 7 seasons of a critically acclaimed show to back him up.
Yep.
Or Patrick Stewart. Watch him. Patrick Stewart shouldn't show up at the end of this one just to make me eat my shit.
No, fell apart at the same time.
It's a fucking $6 million man.
I'll send you out in that old broken down tin can.
It's like old Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my bridge crew can hear your confidence in their ability with this tried and true vessel.
You're on the bridge?
Can't you tell?
I'm sure you'll all do great.
We'll be back before you know it. Don't you worry.
Doubts? Oh, I'm full of them. But not about you and your crew. This thing started out as 82 AUs in diameter. And
the one thing that I like about this scene, one, it's an allusion to V'ger.
Yeah.
Starting out as 82 AUs in diameter, and now it's 5 light years across. Like, it's growing, becoming a bigger threat. For the entire fleet, basically eating starships across. It's basically our Bermuda Triangle. And that's what I really wanted. I wanted Starfleet's Bermuda Triangle. So I took the V'ger thing because I thought, well, that's around this time is what it would be coming. Let's make that. Let's see that threat coming. But I love the fact that if you watch the performance of that I did through the entire film here, and not to put myself on a pedestal, but when you see Minard early in the film, he's a little insecure. He's not confident. He's weak within himself. But here in this moment, he's confident. And it's something that I slowly and gradually did was add that little bit of confidence in himself. And here he's very much at ease with himself. The command, I think, sits right with him. Especially with talking to Randy and just being in that center seat. I think that's something, and that's always how I've played the character. Like when I play in TOS, when I play Minard on Michael's ship, there's a little bit of insecurity, even when I'm in, at my engineering station in command of doing something, there's a little bit of insecurity. I played a little bit more naive, but when I'm on the bridge of the Constar, I'm very much, a little bit more relaxed in command. you know, and that's how I really wanted that here. I wanted you to see that, you know, it's been years and he's not the same character, because most people don't put those subtleties in there. You know, they just play it the same way no matter what, you know, and that's not the way we are, because I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you know, and people, they really should add subtle differences in their acting choices.
Agreed. Of course, I always love Randy. You always write his lines like, "Oh, am I doing something wrong? Are there other people there besides me?"
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I love Randy because, like, Randy is the type of guy who he's one of the smartest people I know, but he reminds me a lot of Barkley in real life. Like, very much nervous that he's going to make a mistake, or nervous he's going to offend somebody, or, you know, if he does, he's like, "Oh, let me be the first to apologize." You know, and that's, to me, it's one of those things where he's so focused on talking to me, he forgets where I'm at. You know, and that's, you know, and that's, I try to write, I feel like the character's written differently when Gary writes him as opposed to when I write him. But when I write him, I very much write him like, oh, it's me talking to Randy, you know, and that's, I feel he's a little bit more charming when I write him because of that, you know, because, you know, he comes across as not aloof, but, you know, kind of that Barkley or Clark Kent, you know, type. Very fun, you know, very, very funny, you know, where you're like, "Hey, I'm on the bridge, man. And, you know, hopefully we don't die, right? Wink, wink." You know, "Oh shit," you know, because we've all been there, you know, and, you know, your Picard or your Cisco wouldn't make that mistake, but your Barkley would, you know, and that's kind of how I see that, you know. So I found that very charming, you know, and especially given the fact that, you know, Minard at this point in time would kind of call him on that and be like, "It's okay, man, I got you," as opposed to where he is at the beginning of the film, where he's kind of on that same level. You know, it shows that Minard has matured, you know. So I really enjoy the scene. I think it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I will say this to this day, is I think that the best scene that Randy and I have ever done together was the one that you wrote for You Are Recalled. I love the tension in that scene, and starting off is, "Hey, you got that hair, you know, you should be a movie star, or, you know, be on a hair commercial," and then get into the seriousness of it, where, you know, Grissom all of a sudden, you know, says, "Hey, fuck, I'm being used here. You know, Steve, let's not, you know, give us this, you know, this song and dance, you know, don't smile at me and then stab me in the back."
Well, and that's the thing, like, Randy's a very funny guy, you know, and the thing is, like, I feel like the thing is, like, Zam and Cheeto were not wrong in the early part of the review when they said, you know, these things aren't always Star Trek enough. You know, it's you know, they needed to be more Star Trek, because they're right. Like, I don't write Star Trek films. I just write films and then I put them in a Star Trek wrapper, or at least I try to. I just write films between good characters.
Right.
Like, I love good tension. I love good humor. I love making fun of myself. And if you watch enough of my films, you're going to see that.
Yeah.
I love writing for Randy because I feel like he lends himself to poking fun at himself as well. And the same thing with you, especially for what's coming up in Romulan Ales Part 2. You know the scene I'm talking about where you bring up some type of sports. And,
yes, right, exactly, right.
And, you know, that whole scene, you know, and again, we only did that for a certain audience member.
I said to Jason, I said, "Do not touch any of these last scenes." He said, "Why?" I said, "I'll explain it to you sometime." And that's why we were really disappointed that we didn't have a really clear shot of that pole dancing book on Rebirth. I mean, we plotted that, and it just did not work the way we wanted to. I really bummed out.
But I tell you, I probably did more research on what is an actual name of that sport. You know,
Yeah, probably.
I did more research on that than I've done on anything in high school. You know, like, you know, but you know. it's when you can poke fun at yourself, or when you can write for a certain character where you're like, man, I'm excited now, you know, and that's part of the joy of getting to.
I'll be a thorn in your side anytime you'd like.
And that's why you're gonna continue to get, you know, references for. Oh, I think history is going to call that the Grissom maneuver.
Yeah, right. I'm going to start calling. I do have to talk to you after about
sure.
something that Jason and I were mulling over, and we're wondering if it really would be something that a Vulcan would say.
Absolutely. Well, we'll discuss that afterwards. I think it's at the 27-minute mark. I think we'll probably hit it once we jump to the future. So let's continue on.
Yeah.
Across with gravimetric forces off the charts.
Why is he doing this in his hallway of his starship?
Because that's what Gary would do.
What they're talking about.
The size of my penis, I guess. I don't know.
Everyone to join in and help.
Is it like off the charts?
Yeah, it's off the charts. 5 light years across.
I know the good.
Jesus.
So go be who I know you can be.
But why is he doing this communication in the hallway?
Okay, so I'm going to address this for any fan that has made it. I mean, if you're a fan and you've made it 2 hours into this fucking review, or review of a review, like a lot of the times the backgrounds we have are just shit that we grab offline that's free. And a lot of the time it's like, that's good enough, you know, or we don't have something that looks, you know, appropriate. I have to look at something and go, does this look like it belongs in the Kelvin universe? A lot of the times it's a compromise. It may not be necessarily what I want. If it's TOS, oh man, there's a lot of TOS reference. If it's next gen, tons of next gen reference. There is not a lot of Kelvin universe reference material to grab a background for. You would be surprised how hard it is to grab a bridge reference for a POV shot for something like this, or hey, I need to put somebody at the helm. Like in the next scene coming up where I put my bridge crew on the bridge facing forward, that shot was almost impossible to do. And I had to do some really complicated trickery to make that work. I mean, I'm very proud of that shot. That is one of the most impressive shots that I've done, to put my crew on the bridge facing forward from the captain's chair looking forward, getting my 2 crew members looking at the, you know, to make it look right.
Yeah, I remember when you had me do the, you sent that to me, I photoshopped that for you, and I thought it came out great.
Yeah, and it's because there's nothing, it's not like TOS where they've got tons of reference. There's not. They did not give many behind-the-scenes pictures of you to do that. And trust me, I looked. I spent hours looking, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, I do.
Such is the reason I have the Harrison.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it. So let's continue.
Yeah, I don't know.
You were so driven nuts with how you did things behind the scenes.
All this guy seems to be doing is talking to people on view screens.
Yeah, because they're probably all. You had to make this during COVID, so now everything is view screens.
Well, I did it
There's no one
before.
even on the bridge.
Nothing changed.
I don't believe in
Literally, there is no one on the bridge.
Actually, you make a very good point there, but like, what the fuck is happening? All I'm hearing about is how miserable it is.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Even if that was the case when we did this during COVID, you got a 40-minute fucking film that was done during COVID. Can you really complain? And you didn't get, I mean, we didn't charge you for it. So you didn't pay for it. So all it did was waste a little bit of your time.
You actually watched it and reviewed it.
Yeah, can you really complain? It gave you guys a little bit of content. And that, again, not you guys now, but like anybody that chooses to watch this, you were, even if you weren't entertained, if you reviewed it, you got content from it. Like, you got 40 minutes of content from it. Or like right now, a review of a review. You got content from it. Can you complain? Honestly, can you complain? Like, that's the shit that really bothers me. If I didn't take money out of your pocket, can you complain?
Right.
And I don't understand that, you know?
This guy is. And how he's just trying to get his shit together.
You know, he deserves it. I'm just saying. He deserves to be miserable. He's on a ship all by himself.
Misery guts.
I do deserve to be miserable.
Live long and prosper.
I brewed a lot.
After 6 months in the Bowenist void, the Arizona briefed us on what we needed
Are you in
to
his
know.
bedroom?
The person wearing a
That guy wearing a beanie?
So we're almost at the stopping point.
Congratulations on your promotion, Eric.
And it was very important for me to have Bishop in here. I really wanted to get the uniform on him, but there was no time to ship it to him.
You let us know.
We received a distress call from a familiar face.
But I really wanted him in there.
Oh yeah.
That was that piece of ass he lost earlier on. The second one.
We got pulled in ourselves.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I told you it's V'ger.
V'ger, yeah.
It looks like V'ger.
Twang. You hear that twang sound when you hear V'ger. It looks like a close-up of a vase.
All right.
Like the middle section of it.
Probably it.
So that's our stopping point. So we will
2402. And I'll forget it.
That's okay. We'll just go to it next time. It's not a big deal. So, all right, guys. So that is our review of Minard 2 Hemmorage. So, overall, they bring up some good points, like the music at the graveyard scene. I can understand where some people, it wasn't their cup of tea, but again, there were reasons why I did it. I feel if you've been with the characters for so long, you're going to sit with Minard for a moment. The first time in Minard 1, you were only with the character for I think 20 seconds with the music. And I felt, I like this song, and this is how long the song plays for if I'm going to put music in my film, this is the segments of what I like. This is how long it is. So, okay, this is what we're doing. If I could redo it over, I probably would give a little bit more around the graves and maybe a little bit more to chop up the scenery. But at the end of the day, I don't think that was the case there, because they were already complaining about the emotions between the characters. So I don't think that was the case for them.
I think in Romulan Ales, we need to have a scene in a bar, and just for Zam and the music, I'm going to sing 100 bottles of ale on the wall, 100 bottles of ale.
I think that'll probably be I think we need to put a warning in there. Fast forward from this to this time. And then you'll be good.
That's right. Okay, 3 hours later.
Right? So I think overall, this was extremely frustrating to watch 2 years ago. As I watch it now, it doesn't bother me one bit. I enjoy it, at least from a historical perspective. And reviews don't bother me now. I love the guys. I'm proud of the work. I think the film holds up. Again, because I know the characters, I think the fans, all the comments on it, it wasn't just my friends commenting, it was people who, were fans. When we get to part 2, I think it's a little bit more harsh. I think, could be wrong, but if when we do part 2, we'll finish the rest of the film. Unless we just go another 2 hours and we're only 2/3 of the way, and then we'll chop it into 3 parts. I thought we would have got this whole thing done now, but shit, it's just way too long, but I've had a good time, Frank. I really have.
And as I said, to anybody who has watched us over the years, God, it's getting to be almost 3 years.
Too long. 3 years too long. Yeah.
Jason, do you have any of those cyanide pills left? However, what you see always goes back to the cyanide. I forget what I was going to say, but I think that when you and I get together, because let's face it, it really has been a while because of everything that's been going on. And we used to do this all the time, and this is one of our outlets, and this is one of those things that you and I can both be feeling like shit. And by the time we're finished, it was like, what was I upset about earlier?
Yeah, $1 million. Yeah, it makes you feel great. I mean, again, this is Minard 2 Hemmorage was one of the worst things that ever was put on YouTube for a fan film, at least in my opinion. But as I watch it now, I'm like, no, I had a great time in the first half of it. And man, I can't wait for the second half. Like, I can't wait, so I hope you guys listening had a good time. I had a great time with Frank. I hope if Zam and Cheeto listen to it, guys, much love and respect.
Oh yeah, we did this only
for love.
For love, and also to explain a little bit, but also to let you know that we love what you guys have been doing, and we started off on a little bit of this rocky ground. We revisited it. We're laughing about it, but that's where growth and family comes from.
Well, I mean that rocky start ended up being the greatest foundation, because again, seeing where you guys were at 200 I think subscribers, or maybe 500 or whatever it was, seeing you guys at almost 2,700, man, you guys are almost caught up to us. I mean it's again, like I said, when I'm driving to work, I'm like, man, Nerdtube's on, I'll listen to him, and it's like, man, you guys are family, just like I see the fan film people. And when I see they're on or doing something, I'm like, oh, it's extended family. There are people that are blood that I don't feel this close to. And it's like, I love you guys to death, and I know that it's easy to say that in today's world, but I fucking mean it. So that being said, everybody listening, thank you very much for listening. And I mean that. If you would give us a thumbs up, please give us a thumbs up. If you would leave a comment, I'd appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Everyone helps out. If you don't feel the need to, hey, that's okay too. I hope you had a good time. And we'll see you next time. If you guys join us, that'd be great. I don't know when it'll be, but it'll be hopefully soon. But we got some fan films coming up. That'll be great. And we hope you enjoy that too.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you throw out the fact about a very quick plug for the awards?
Well, we got a Fan Film Awards coming up. It's going to be just for all the films, all the actors, all the CGI, the scenes. We got 6 different categories. We've got TOS era. We got Wrath of Khan era. We got Next Gen era. We got DS9 era. We got Picard / Beyond era. We got Mirror Universe era. So we got 6 different categories. And then we have 5 different subcategories, which is what's for each of those eras. We got Best Actor or Actress. We got Best Supporting Actor or Actress. We got Best CGI. We got Best Fan Film. And we got Best Scene. So everyone that's been a part of our universe,
extended universe.
What's that now?
Our extended universe.
Yeah, if it's on that playlist that I have called the Constar Universe, and I'll put a link in the registration form, and I'll make that registration form public once I have it out there. If it's on that playlist, just go check the playlist, check it, and if it is, put the film next to the era, and then put the name next to the category. And I mean, it'll be pretty simple. So, I mean, it's a fan film award for the underdog, because realistically, we never really have a chance on stuff. And I really want to give back to everybody that's been in a Constar film. So this is it's something for everybody in-house, in the family. So, everyone's got a chance to win. And then when you register, we'll have those dates that you can vote. All you got to do is just tell everybody, every one of your friends, hey, go to that film and type in my name. And that's it.
And the other thing I want you guys to remember is, if you've been in a Constar or part of the Constar universe, you're definitely, I mean, we have people like David Chang, Jose Cepeda,
Josh Irwin.
George Cayenne. I mean, they all have their own productions and stuff like that. But that's how we have been working, is we have been incorporating a lot of the other fan films. We've all been working together. So really, when they show up in a Constar universe. I mean, they're 98%, well, almost 100% of the time playing their own characters from their own series. But we want to give them that opportunity.
Yeah, if that film is on that playlist, it's included. So if they showed up in a Constar film, that film's included. So and we do have not only the awards that go to the winner, you will get prizes, what I've dubbed the care packages, which has a bunch of stuff that I'll list off once I get everything finalized. But also the runners-up will get awards for being runners-up. So I do want to let everybody know that even if you don't win the first award, you will get an award for being a runner-up. So there is a little bit of something for everybody. There is something for everybody.
And we want it to be you, our fan base, that makes these decisions, not us as producers.
No, and the thing about it is everybody's on a level playing field. We can only put ourselves in for one entry. Right. So I'm on the same level as Frank, and Frank's on the same level as a background actor that was in. And if you didn't have a speaking line, hey, put yourself in for best scene. Or if you didn't necessarily make the scene the best, shine, or you don't feel, hey, put yourself in for best fan film. I mean, for that TOS era or DS9 era, like there's many ways that you can win a prize, and then, hey, if you want, and if anybody wants to say, hey, can I get a copy of that award? Sure, absolutely. Here you go. Because to me, I want to make it as accessible to you fans as possible. So,
and no, absolutely no, which is our tradition here on No Budget Filk Ferret, no money is involved. Anything we do is out of our pocket.
Yep, no money. Yeah, and most importantly, no fucking drama. So,
darn it.
So that being said, I'm going to go hang out with my boy and have guys night. And Frank, I know you're probably going to go hang out with Donna, or she has to hang out with you, I guess. It's probably what's going to happen. So that being said, Frank, thank you for joining me tonight, man. I love you, man. It's been way too long since we've done something like this.
Right.
Honestly, thank you for.
We need to do more of this. I mean, I miss this.
I do too.
It's really been great. And I love you, my bro.
Hey, we'll do this again in like 2 weeks or so when Mona goes back to work and I got some time at night. We'll do this again, man, for part 2 of Minard to Hemmorage. And everybody at home, man, it's not as emotional for me as seeing the Enterprise D again. But it's been so long since I've said this, but I will end it on be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.